We're going to walk you through the installation of the J&L oil separator for your end line. Including the J&L oil separator kit is a fully assembled oil separator, a mounting bracket, mounting screws, and a hose clamp. The tools you're going to need for installation is a ratchet, a long extension, 10mm socket, standard pair of pliers, a long pair of needle nose pliers, Phillips head screwdriver, 1/4-inch nut driver is optional but helpful, and a standard screwdriver, flathead, and then light grease or oil. Let's get started. First thing we need to do is remove our engine cover. It's in 4 rubber grommets, so you just need to pull up at each corner and set the cover to the side. Now we're going to locate our factory PCV line, which is this line here near your oil fill cap. There's one clamp holding it onto the valve cover, and then there is another clamp that is holding it to the intake manifold that is buried down there. And I will show you the best practice to remove this line. Now the top line is pretty simple. Gonna grab the clamp with your pair of pliers, squeeze it, and push it all the way back. Now this will be kind of stiff and stuck on. You'll want to grab it and twist it while you push it away. Our line has already been off the vehicle once, so it comes off much easier. But the line, you will need to twist it to initially remove it, just to break the seal. Now, the clamp here, as you can see, there's this bolt in the way to really get a pair of pliers on it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your flathead screwdriver and you're gonna push against the clamp. That would be on your right-hand side. And you're gonna push against it to get the clamp to rotate like that. Again, it may be a little tougher on yours just because this has already been off the vehicle. But again, I put the screwdriver down in here and I push the clamp by this tab here to the left. And that's going to allow us to get our long needle nose pliers down into place. Squeeze, and this barb is very, very tall. So you're going to need to get the clamp all the way up to the top. And then to break this one free, it's the same process, but being that it's hard to get pliers down there, you can take your flathead screwdriver and grab the edge of the hose at the bottom and just work and pry up on it. And as soon as you start to see it budge, you can just apply more and more pressure to it and it will come off. We're gonna go and prep our oil separator for installation. So we're going to pre-install our mounting bracket to our oil separator. Just align the 2 logos and then use the supplied screws to fasten the bracket to the oil separator. Now our oil separator is going to install here off of this coolant expansion tank leg. There's a 10mm bolt. Just remove that bolt. And then you're going to take your bracket, put the same bolt through the bracket, and you're going to fasten this back into place. Get your 1/3/8 hose, a smaller hose, underneath this line. And then you want to line your bolt up. And then when aligning the can, before you fasten it all the way, you want to get that can as far to the motor as you can without pushing hard against the tank. So I'm going to go about right there. And I'm going to go ahead and snug that bolt up. It doesn't need to be crazy tight. Now your factory line that you removed earlier, there's a small portion and there's a larger portion. We're going to reuse the big clamp. So we're going to remove this clamp. Don't do this over the engine bay because if you drop it, you're in trouble. But remove that clamp and we're going to put that onto our large line. So grab the clamp and we're going to slide that up the line and just leave it high so it's out of the way while we have to push that onto that fitting. For the smaller hose, we're going to use the supplied clamp that was with your kit. Just slide it up the hose so it can't fall off, and we can fasten that in just a second. Now this connection here is rather tight. This is where our grease is going to come into play. So if you have grease, this is just wheel bearing grease, but lots of things could be used here. Motor oil, Dawn dish soap, Vaseline. Petroleum products are fine in this hose. It's rated for them. So just put a little grease in there. If you don't have this nifty applicator that we're using, a Q-tip works really well. And you're going to work this over the connection and then push it all the way down. Move your clamp out of the way if it's in the way. And then grab your needle nose and slide that clamp down. It should start to go. There we go. And leave your clamp accessible. You don't need to rotate it back to the front. That way, if you ever want to remove this, it's very simple to do. On our shorter line, we're actually going to route this around the engine oil fill or the dipstick. I'm going to go underneath this wiring harness here and push this. You don't need to grease this hose because it fits just right. We're going to slide our clamp up. And then you could either use a standard screwdriver or a 1/4 inch nut driver to secure this clamp. The nut driver is significantly easier. A 1/4 inch socket would work just fine too. And just gonna put that right out of the way, but still accessible. And again, just snug it up. It doesn't need to be crazy tight. It's all plastic. So now our final step of our installation is to reinstall our cover. You see this ball stud here, 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 and here. Those are the 4 studs that hold the cover into these little grommets. So you can actually feel this one on the right and align it. And if you get usually one of them, the rest of them will fall in. 3 and 4. Check your clearance here on your hose. As you see, that's nice and loose. It's okay if it's touching the cover. We just don't want a hard hit there. And that completes your installation. Now your average collection in most of these 4-cylinder turbo applications is about an ounce of oil every 1,000 miles. The oil separator holds 3 ounces in its form. So what we suggest you do is that every vehicle be a little different, whether it's yours or a buddy's has the same exact car. They can collect at 2 different rates. So check it after 1,000 miles of installation. If you're all concerned about forgetting to check it, maybe set a reminder in your phone to just like a reoccurring event to check it. So keep an eye on it. If you have any questions, please reach out, and we thank you for watching.